Alright, shalom, all praises be unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rechak Wadash, double honor unto the elder apostles and the elder bishops at Great Millstone who are well, and he taught us this truth. Salutations unto the sincere Akim, pushing the word in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Barakatham. Now, this is from the BBC, and it got published today, right, the 18th of January 2026, updated 9 hours ago, and it says around 1,500 soldiers on standby for deployment in Minneapolis, officials say. And you got them here, and it says soldiers are on standby for possible deployment to Minneapolis, a U.S. defense official has told CBS News, the BBC's U.S. partner, right? And it says the official said that 1,500 soldiers currently in Alaska are an option for US President Donald Trump if he decided to use active duty military personnel as an anti-immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, right? Demonstrations continued in the city on Saturday. So this is where we're at, man. Alright. They got soldiers for your ass now. And this whole immigration thing, we've been tracking it from the very beginning. And what they're doing, essentially, is targeting you tribes, man. Okay, they're targeting the tribes. Trump's got that list of people he's barring entry, like visa entry, something like that, into the United States, man. Okay, but then you got your tribes over there, and pretty much it's just an all-out slaughter at this point upon the tribes, man. And at one point the Northern Kingdom was very proud against the Southern Kingdom. Pretty much, thought they were in the same boat as Esau. And to that we say, oh, how times have changed. Or oh, how's the perception changed. All right, because you was never, the Northern Kingdom was never up there with Esau. That was just an illusion that they allowed you to run with. But now they're showing you that you're one and the same as the so-called Negroes, the blacks. Okay, and it's y'all that's getting targeted, man. And you're getting shooted in the face. You get shot in the face. Getting stabbed up, maced up, all of that, roughed up, thrown in vans. To the point where it's frightening outside right now. But we told you that these times were coming, man. Okay, all right. So it says soldiers are on standby for possible deployment. I already read that. So it goes here. It says no decision yet has been made on whether to deploy the soldiers from Alaska, the official said. Minnesota officials have urged protesters to stay orderly and peaceful during demonstrations after an ICE agent shot dead US citizen Renee Good earlier this month. And that stirred up more aggravation and protests and people trying to speak out. But pretty much where we are right now is an all-out it's just all-out terror, on the streets, man. Okay, and this is what was spoken of and prophesied of where it concerns the time of Jacob's trouble, man. All right. That's right. So this is Isaiah keeps got Isaiah on the brain. Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 5, and it says, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. And that's exactly where we are. That whole idea of the American dream, and you work hard, and you're gonna live that the white picket fence, the house, the job, the wife, the children, the money in the account, the car in the out front, whatever the case may be. That was always an illusion. you know, and pretty much it's evident now that America is a hellhole, man. Okay, it says, "For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace." Okay, you got people screaming, "Stay inside!" They're coming. Howling and wailing, man. You know, this is taking place, man. All right, and not of peace. All right, and it damn sure ain't a time of peace for the tribes, man. Now for the elect, that's a whole different ball game. The scriptures, Lord promises peace and safety unto the elect. Um, you know, um, Safety and protection. From the times that we're in that regard. But still gonna be a trying time. But protection is promised unto the elect, and we'll get that in a second. But overall, this ain't a time of peace, man. And it says here in verse 6, "Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child." Yeah, you got people wailing and screaming, getting maced out in the face, getting your nose busted, face punched in, you know, holding clips to your face, just getting shot up, you know, all of that. Okay, the times we're in, people are gonna continue to cry, man. Like like a woman in it says, "A man doth travail with child," meaning a woman in the labor pains, man. The water breaks, the contractions come faster and more intense. She screams in that, in pain. Well, that's how men are gonna be out here. That's how men are beginning to be, and it's gonna intensify. "Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, and as a woman in travail." There you go. "And all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great." Okay, so that none is like it. So we are seeing things that have never happened before in Earth's history, man. What we've seen, the end of 2025 leading into 2026, right? This is unspoken of, this is unheard of, this is unseen, and that itself is prophetic. You're gonna have things happening on the earth that nobody's seen before, man. But it says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble," man. Alright? And if you didn't know that, you were of Jacob, right? Because Jacob's name, after he wrestled with the angel, you know, was changed to Israel. He's a prince of the power, right? Yasharallah, right? So Jacob and Israel is interchangeable. Will you tribe? Oh, no, I'm not black. No, what's the line we always say, man? No, 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 no negro, no black, no black, no black, no negro. You know, and they'll be looking at you like they ain't the same. Listen, man, you gonna know that you know that you one and the same. You Jacob, man, through the hell that's being put on your asses, man. It's everybody getting hemmed up, shot in the face, stabbed up, arrested, whatever, raped, abused, beat up, kicked out, slaughtered, whatever, man. Of the tribes, man, we don't feel sorry for you, man. We ain't speaking on, you know, we ain't covering these matters. We ain't covering these topics because it's an outcry of look at my people and yeah, we're so sorry, we're so sad about that. Nah, fuck the people, man. This is about the elect. Of all the tribes that's getting caught up and fucked up, you know, with what's going on right now, good. Okay. Okay, and that's in the scriptures too, man. You got young children getting, boys and girls, um, teenagers, adults, old people, right? Just getting done over, man. And we're with all of that. That's in the book of Ezekiel. But it says, it is even the time of Jacob's, excuse me, it is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Now, who's going to be saved out of it? The elect. Because, we're all going to go through Jacob's trouble, but the elect is going to be saved out of it. The scriptures speak about that. Two parts. The one shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be passed through the fire. Right? The two parts is the 2/3 of Israelites in the landmass of America. And the third part is those of the elect. 144,000 and the great multitude of men, women, and children. That's the third that's going to be passed through, man. And from Jacob's trouble, it ain't gonna, it ain't gonna be like how it used to be, man. Okay, your old life, your old way of operating, the amenities you had. You check into that hotel with the amenities. You got hair dryer, blow dryer, towels, soap, gym facilities, breakfast bar. Them amenities, them amenities are getting wiped off the table, man. Get in your car, go down the road to the shop. You might not make it back, man. You might get shot in the face if you run into ICE, man. And yeah, they got immigrants. They got fucking non-English speakers in ICE trying to target non-English speakers, man. It's crazy, man. But pretty much that's where we're at with things right now. Yeah. So them motherfuckers got 1,500, soldiers currently in Alaska waiting, man. All right. That's dark. You got to think about that, man. 1,500 soldiers are just ready to just like, shoot niggas up, man. Grab you up. Do what they got to do, man. Now you could be like, oh, well, no, don't talk like that. Don't say that. Swear words, profanities, foul language, and you this and you that and all. But that's what's happening, man. You don't politely ask someone to stand and stay still before you shoot them in the face, man. All right? You running up on them, you cursing them out, you roughing them up. All right? You and you point and squeeze, man, and watch the face sink in. That's where we're at with things, man. People's wigs are getting pushed the fuck back, man. All right, and if you ain't down with the harsh reality of what's going on, then you don't need to watch this or any of these type of videos, man. But we're gonna keep reporting on it because that's what's prophesied in the scriptures, man. All right, you fucking rebellious of ones of the tribes, man. Who didn't want anything to do with the Lord. You're now getting done in America, and ICE is doing it to you, man. All right, okay. And Trump is doing an exceptional job. You know, this is, let's see what we got here. So it says the soldiers are a part of the 11th Airborne Division in Fort Wainwright. The official added. Last week, Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, a rarely used law. This guy has to be neuro, man. A rarely used law that allows active duty military personnel to be deployed for law enforcement duties inside the US. It comes as a federal judge issued an order limited the crowd control tactics that can be used by ICE agents towards peaceful and unobstructive protesters in Minneapolis. Right? So it says here, let's scroll on a bit. The recent protests in the city were sparked by widespread action by ICE in the city and followed Good's death on the 7th of January. City leaders said Good was there as a legal observer of ICE activity, but the Trump administration has called her a domestic terrorist. Good's death sparked protests across the country, with many people holding signs that read "Just did" for Renee. And there's always that token death and all of that that sparks it all off, and that that's just always the case, man. But the point is, you know, it's happening out here, man. Okay, when they're rolling up in your cities, they're rolling up, in the different boroughs and manors and areas, these cities, man, and they're doing it, man. Okay, everything that's written is taking place, man. Okay, but you know what? For the elect, we ain't got to worry about that, because the scriptures say, do like this. The scriptures say the Lord is gonna lift up a standard, man, and that standard is spiritual power, divine intervention. This is Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, and that's exactly what this is, man. Okay, that's exactly what this is. If you got 1,500 soldiers on standby, ready to just run up in the cut and fuck niggas up straight, man. That's a flood, man. Okay, that's just straight up a flood, right? If you got 1,500, I'll say it again, if you got 1,500 soldiers on standby, ready to just run up in the cut, yeah, and make a mess, yeah, if that ain't them coming in like a flood, then boy, and this is just the beginning of it. They got more. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get more intensified. It's gonna get more bleak. It's gonna get more dark. It's gonna get more scary. It's gonna get more violent. But this is just the beginning. 1,500 soldiers ready to just run up in the cut and make a mess, man. This is Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord, Yahweh, from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. And the enemy shall come in like a flood, right? When flood waters come in, towns and cities get flooded out, the waters don't consider, oh well, no, this is an antique family heirloom, don't flood this part, don't get that wet, don't get that document wet, or this table got handed down from grandfather, great grandfather to daughter to son, whatever, don't break that table. Whatever's in the pathway of the flood gets destroyed. Relentless. But that's how they come. That's how Trump, obviously the elites over him, but that's how they're coming in, man. Relentless with it. So it says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. That's divine intervention, man. Angels protecting brothers and their families. Some men gonna get spiritual power and things of that nature, man. But this is it. He's beginning to come in like a flood, man. So there you go, man. I just wanted to do a quick commentary on this, yeah. But they ain't playing games, man. They are not playing any fucking games out here, man. They're just not. Yeah, 1,500 soldiers on standby for deployment, man. So interesting times we're in. Times that have been prophesied of. I'm gonna get this again. We're bringing this out a lot more now. But you already said that scripture already. Well, if you don't like it, then don't watch. We're gonna bring the same scriptures out over and over again, because that's where the power is at. Habakkuk 2:3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and boy oh boy is it speaking, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So people didn't want to listen to us, because things weren't happening. But now people got questions, man, because agendas are getting pushed, and things are happening in your face, man. So it's not tarrying anymore, you know, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. We're in that time, man. You know, Jacob's trouble. So you know, I'm gonna close out here, and you know, I'll catch you um in the next one. Yeah.